what is up, my ASMR and fragrance family? It is your boy, your whispering perfume pimp, Christopher Cologne, and I am back with another video. So, I thought this would be a fun thing to do. Talk about the 3 times I got arrested and like the day, you know, the events that led up to each arrest and everything. So now this first one is kind of, the first part of it's kind of screwed up. So, and I almost wasn't going to put it in it, but I decided, you know what, I always tell shit the way it is and everything, so ain't gonna hold back. It does kind of sound bad though, but okay, so this is the first time I got arrested. So I'm with my friend Scott, so-called friend Scott. I'm 17 at the time. Scott's a little older. He's in his 20s, done been to prison, all this and that. Which is, if he could have stayed off all the bullshit that he was on, he would have been, he would do a lot for you, but just couldn't stay out of shit and stay off of the shit. But, so there's this girl that I was talking to. We go get her. So she's in Gastonia. I lived in Shelby. Well, not really Shelby, but we go get her. We come back to Scott's house. I end up having sex with the girl a little while after we get back. So I have sex with her. Then Scott goes in the bedroom and they have sex. And then there was another dude there too. And he ended up they had sex too. And it's just like, what the fuck, man? Damn. Okay. Well, I decided then, shit, for one, I'm glad I was the first. For two, I ain't doing nothing with this girl again. But we ended up going, the other dude that was with us, we ended up going to his house. We get to his house, we stay over there a little while. This girl ends up having sex with his brother. So, that ended up happening. So, me and Scott, we take her home that night, and on the way to bring her home on 74 in Shelby, I'm driving. Scott didn't have a license. I didn't have a license either, but Scott was drunk. So we're taking her home. I'm going in and out of traffic and everything, so I get pulled over. I pull over in the old Walmart parking lot. Luckily, he lets me go. He lets us walk. So we take off walking, or like we were gonna walk. The cop leaves. Scott's like, come on, man. We're getting back in the car. We ain't walking. So we go back. Now Scott's driving this time. Scott drives to Gastonia, and we drop her off. Then we go to Outback. Now we're at Outback. This is the first time I've ever been to Outback, so I'm interested. Like, hell yeah. I'm getting ready to eat at Outback. For some of y'all, that's no big deal. For me, you know, at the time, that was a big deal. So it's like, hell yeah. So, I order and everything, and then Scott's like, come on, dude. They were kicking him out because he was already drunk, and he was talking shit to the bartender because the bartender cut him off. Well, he was calling the bartender a fucking pussy and all this and that. So yeah, the bartender cut him off and all that. And Scott was also talking shit to the hostess. He was telling her he wanted to eat her out and all this and that. Now, I wasn't as obnoxious as that. Never have been that obnoxious. So, I mean, I wilded the hell out, but I wasn't obnoxious like that. But, yeah, so we get kicked out. Well, we leave. I'm driving now. We get back on 85 to go home. Because the way it goes, you got 74 over here. Damn, fish just slammed himself down on the floor. But you got 74 here. You got 85 over here. You know, here's Gastonia, so they're going back towards Shelby. Well, I lived like right here. Shelby, and then like right here down towards 85. Well, I turn off of 85, get on the main road that takes you to my neighborhood, which me and Scott lived in the same neighborhood. And Scott's like, come on, man, let's go home. And I'm like, nah, dude, I don't want to. I want to go see Chastity, which was a different girl. She was like Scott's age, I think. But I wanted to go see her because here I am, horny and young. And I'm like, I'm going to go try Chastity. I'm fucking nasty, I know. But, so Scott's like, man, come on, dude, let's just go home. I got a bad feeling. I'm like, man, I want to go see Chastity. He's like, okay. So we pass the neighborhood, and then when we pass the neighborhood, we come around the turn, the curve, and bam, there's a roadblock. There's a roadblock sitting there, and the roadblock was for me and Scott. What was crazy is they were expecting us to come from the other way. So if I would have just went to the house like Scott said, I would have never got arrested because they were expecting us to come from the way of 74. So, me thinking with the wrong head, got my ass in some shit. So, but yeah, so the cops they arrested me and everything, which was funny because I could see the cop shaking his head no behind that bright ass flashlight that he had. But yeah, they ended up arresting me, and they took me to jail. Well, my mom wasn't gonna get me out. She always told me, you get arrested, your ass is sitting there. I didn't have no money, so what the hell happened? I sat there. I was going to end up having to serve my time. Well, she comes Sunday. He lets her up to the cell, and she's sitting there bitching me out and everything the cop did. And she's sitting there bitching me out, and then he's like, after a couple minutes of it, he's like, okay, that's enough. And then takes her back up to front, out the cell block and everything. And he comes back a little while later, and he's like, you ready to go home? I was like, what? He said, are you ready to go home? I was like, yeah. So they let me go. Then I had my court date later and everything. But my mom said she thinks the reason why they let me go is because he felt sorry for me. He either felt sorry for me or he knew I was going to get it worse at home from her than what I would sitting in that cell. So, to this day, I don't know exactly why they let me go, but that's probably it. They probably figured I was going to get it worse from her. But, yeah, I ended up having my license revoked and everything. I didn't get my license till I was 19 and all that because of that. But, yeah, so that was the first time I got arrested. So, the second time I got arrested, we went to Myrtle Beach. Me, my friend Andy, our friend Philip, some dude named James that Philip was friends with me, and Andy really didn't know him like that. But we go down there, combined, we had like $60, and $60, a quarter to a half ounce of weed, and I think we had some liquor too. But yeah, and I'm how old was I at the time? 18 or 19. Hold on. I was 19 at the time, I think. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I was 19. I had to think about it. That's what happens when you get older. But yeah, I was 19. So we go down there to Myrtle Beach, and we get down there. We're parked in one of the beach access parking areas, and we're drinking. So the cops pull up, and it was two cops. I think it was a female and a male cop. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they search us and everything. They didn't find the weed that Philip had on him, but they dumped the liquor out. So, and then they let us go. So we go to the Winn-Dixie and go to sleep. This is about 4 in the morning, and we go to sleep in the parking lot of Winn-Dixie. And then when we wake up the next morning, we find somebody to buy us alcohol. So we find somebody to buy us alcohol, and then we're going behind the Winn-Dixie to drink it. Andy's flying. It was Andy. Andy was the driver. It was his car and everything. He's flying, and we see a bottle, and we're like, Andy, bottle. instead of trying to slow down and miss it or whatever, he just slams on the brakes. The car goes over it, hits it, bottoms out, and cases the oil pan on the edge of the bottle and busts it wide open. Before we even get around to the front of the building, oil's gone. So Andy ends up going to call his dad, and we take off too. So we go to the strip. Now I'm on crutches at the time. This is the first surgery I had on my foot. So we go down there and we crutch to the main strip. That was like 40 blocks, something like that. A little over 40. So we crutch to the main strip. Then we lose Andy. We go around looking for him. Then we go back to the car and this is me, Philip, and James now. We get almost back to the car. We run back into Andy. And then we get to the car. Well, Andy ended up calling his dad and telling his dad, hey, I busted the oil pan. It's going to cost $300 something to fix it and everything. So his dad wires him the money. Instead of taking this car to get it fixed, Andy goes, gets JB Weld and some quarts of oil and shit. And then we crutch back to it. They put that shit on there. We go back to the main strip. So I crutch back to the main strip. Now by the time I'm done, I crutch like 140 blocks, and I had the wooden crutches, so those things will pinch. So they ate holes in my sides because I had on I'm pretty sure it was a sleeveless shirt. I don't know, it might have been a t-shirt. But yeah, they ate holes in my sides. And so we ended up getting a room and everything. We partied that night and all that. I spent most of my night sick, crawling back and forth from the toilet to the balcony. And the next morning, I'm like, shit, I want the other Bud Light, and it was the last one. So I grabbed it, put it in my back pocket. Philip tried to get it, so I took off bouncing down the damn steps because we were in the second floor of this cheap motel that we all got. But I bounced down, got in the car, me and Andy took off, and I pull it out and I open it, and it starts spewing everywhere. So when it starts spewing everywhere, I had my hand wrapped around it and I stuck it out the window. Now, if you're my age, if you remember, Bud Light cans back then looked a lot like a Diet Pepsi can. So from a distance, there's really no telling what in the hell I had. So, but two bicycle cops seen me. They were in between a couple buildings in a small alley or whatever, that ended up seeing me. And we get up a couple blocks and there's a bunch of cars. There's like 2 or 3 cops in front of us, 2 or 3 cops behind us and everything. Andy stops the car. I'm sitting there thinking, dude, do they not realize that if we were dangerous, we could just fucking step on the gas and run them over? So they get us out of the car. I'm trying to stick the beer up under the seat before they get to the car. They get us out, and now the cop that's arresting me, his arms are like that freaking big. This dude sticks his finger. Well, I asked him, I was like, officer, before you arrest me, before you finish putting me in these handcuffs, can I pull up my pants because they're coming down? He said, oh, we'll take care of that in a minute. And then proceeds to stick his fingers in my belt loops, picks me up off the ground. I'm probably like this far off the ground, and shakes me back into my pants. And then he makes me hop across the street to sit down. And I'm looking at all the people on the balconies and all the people on the sidewalk that are walking up and down the sidewalk, shopping, doing whatever, and they're just all staring, and I'm like, man, this shit's embarrassing, man. But yeah, so, and in Myrtle Beach, if you're not from there, I think that's the way this is. If you're not from there, your ticket is your bail. Well, they wrote me a ticket for open container. They didn't write me a ticket for underage drinking. So they put me in jail for the open container. I didn't have no money to get out. My mom wasn't going to get me out. I couldn't remember the girl's number that I was messing with at the time, so I was just stuck. Now, they ended up, they moved me like an hour away to a prison / detention center or whatever, because they ran out of room in the jail. So, but I found out by talking to one of the guards. He was from California. He was saying those Myrtle Beach bicycle cops were dirty as hell. He said he ain't never seen, in all the years that he was in California, he never seen cops that were so dirty as the ones that were on the bicycles in Myrtle Beach. That shit's crazy. And it reminded me of the dude that whenever we first got there, how you have to shower and everything like that, and put your jumpsuit on and all that shit. He was telling me he got caught in Myrtle Beach. He said what he had on him was actually a few roaches. What he got locked up for was 320 rocks. So I kind of believe him. But yeah. But I asked Andy and them, I was like, man, why in the hell didn't y'all get me out? He was like, man, we couldn't find the building. I was like, dude, the fucking building was a big brown brick building right around the corner from where we got pulled over at. This dude starts laughing. Damn, I knew then. Fuck it, man. Y'all motherfuckers didn't even come and look for me. So, but yeah, that was the second time I got arrested. Now, the third time I got arrested was whenever I got busted, which was the first time I ever had anything drug related. So, okay, I'm at a friend. I used to watch football at my friend's house every Sunday, or damn near every Sunday. Well, whenever I sold weed, whenever I sold weed, I delivered it. It was barely ever somebody came to my house or anything like that. So, and I had a rule: don't ride with anything that you ain't about to sell. So I never really had anything on me unless I was taking it to where I was going. And I got lazy that Sunday. I was just like, you know what? I don't really move all that much on Sundays. So I'm just gonna bring about what I do sell on Sundays. I'll save the gas, I'll save the time, all this and that. And I'll just break it out at my friend's house. So I bring like an ounce with me because that was my slowest day. Now the rest of the week, some weeks I'd end up pushing less than a P. The rest of the weeks, it was a few. Or the rest of the time, it was a few. But that one day, Sundays, was only like an ounce that I ever sold. So I brought that with me, baggies and scales and everything. And man, these fuckers, I leave his house now. Like the way his house does, there's the main road right here, and then it goes up and around. Well, he's like right here, so I'll pull out whenever I leave that night, and nobody called and got a damn thing that day. Ain't that some shit? Nobody called, got a damn thing that day. So I get to the stop. Before I even get to the stop sign, the main road, hold on, my bad. So I get to the stop sign, I look to my left, because where the neighborhood circles around. So I get to the stop sign, I look to my left, there's no cars or anything, it's already dark, there's no lights, no nothing. I make the right. Before I even get to the stop sign to turn onto the main road, there's two cops behind me. Now they don't have their blue lights on yet, but you can tell by the headlights. So I pull out, and before I get ready to turn into the store, and whenever I did, they pulled me over. I don't remember the bullshit reason they gave for pulling me over, but they gave me some bullshit reason to pull me over. So I pull in, and all of a sudden a bunch of other cops pull in behind that other cop, and now they're all around the car. And the one cop comes up to the car, and he's asking me, is there any weapons in the car or anything like that? And I said no. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, there is. There's a knife in the passenger side floorboard. And I pointed down like that. They said I was reaching for it. So what the hell happens? All the guns come out. So all the guns come out and everything. They said I was reaching for it. Come on now. So pretty much you just called me a dumbass. There's like 6 of y'all surrounding the car, and I'm gonna reach for a knife, and the windows are up and everything, and there's like 6 of y'all with guns. So you just called me a dumbass, really? But yeah, they get me out of the car. One of them has a gun in my face, shaking and everything. That scared the shit out of me. They get me around to the back of the car, assume the position, hands on the trunk, damn, legs spread and everything. They're patting me down. Now I had a pair of black jogging pants with the cargo pockets on the sides. Hell, matter of fact, I'm wearing a pair like that right now. So, but they're patting me down and they hit that pocket. And when they hit that pocket, he asked me, he's like, "What's that?" I get nervous and bust out laughing. I'm like, "Something I shouldn't have." So I say something I shouldn't have, and they pull it out of my pocket and everything. And if it wasn't, it would have been a full ounce if it wasn't for what we smoked out of it. So, yeah, so they ended up taking me in and everything. And I borrowed money to get out. Borrowed money from Andy to get out, matter of fact. And they asked me before I got out, they were like, "Is there anything you want to say?" I already knew what that meant. Hell no. For one, the dude that I got it from was my friend. For two, if I tell you where it's coming from, for one, I'm going against my principles, because the way I believe, if you get caught doing something that you already knew the consequences to and everything like that, don't go telling on other people that are doing the same shit just to get yourself out of trouble because you're too much of a bitch to go to jail or whatever's going to come from it. Nah, you did what you had to do. Now, do what you have to do. So, and doing what you have to do is not telling on others to get out of damn trouble. I mean, now granted, there's certain things, like, hell, somebody murdering a kid, just really fucked up shit. Now that's a little different. But you get caught selling weed, don't go telling on the next dude that's selling weed. Come on, man. Or the next person. Don't be a bitch. Take your punishment. But anyway, yeah, so they asked me that, and so there was that reason. And then I wasn't gonna end up having my legs broke, because that's what would have happened, more than likely. And I'm just like, this is my first offense. Ain't nothing gonna happen, really. But what ended up happening was, like, I had like almost a couple grand in fines and a year's supervised probation. Then it was like unsupervised for another couple years or whatever, which ain't nothing. But I thought I was gonna get off with less than that. But since it was my first offense, now what was crazy is where I was at was the same neighborhood that old girl lived in, that I was trying to go to Chastity's, that I was trying to go to when I got arrested the first time. That's where my friend lived at that time, which was like almost 10 years later. But anyway, yeah, it was the same, and it was the same road that I got hit on and that I first got arrested on, and I got arrested on the first time. Crazy shit, huh? So, but yeah, so I'm gonna get off here, and I just figured I'd start sharing some stories or whatever, and I figured that'd be a good one, because I want to add a little bit of I do want to add a little bit of variety to this channel. So I don't want to go veer off a whole lot, but maybe a little bit, as long as the numbers don't struggle, because if the numbers are struggling, what's the point, So, but it's Friday when I'm recording this and releasing it, so y'all have a good Friday, and if you're listening to this any other day, y'all have a good day on that day too. So I'm gonna get off here, and peace, 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 peace.